Alright guys, so I'm short of that bearish gap, and then if we take this short-term low, then I'm going to be trailing my stops, okay? So I'm going to trail my stops now to 993.50. 993.50, we're just taking out that short-term low. So I'm going to minimize risk. I'm not going to go straight to break even, but now we're only risking 5.75 handles. I've got a draw on London lows, and my TP resting just above London lows. Clean shift in market structure, we got a bearish break paired with the upper fair value gap, and then I entered short on the first presented gap there. We just looked to trail 993.50 on my other accounts as well. But yeah, hopefully you lot can hear me. Drop a message in the chat if you lot can hear me. Let me just get this on my other accounts quickly. Buy stop. And on take profit trader as well. I don't think I got the best entry on my other accounts. Yeah, I didn't get the best entry on my funded accounts, but it's not a problem. Alright, so only risking 5.75 handles here. Got stops in a position at short-term high after taking the low. So this low shouldn't act as liquidity for price to come back. If it does, then it's likely reaching for this upper imbalance anyway, and I'll be taken out of this trade. Can you go over your trade? Yeah, overall bias today is bearish. We had a sweep of liquidity prior to the AM session after taking out data highs because we had news at 8:30. So we swept data highs, clean shift in market structure. Obviously, price is in somewhat of a discount already. However, the overall draw is still London lows. We inversed the 15-minute bullish gap, and all of the time frames majority lean towards being bearish and an overall draw towards London lows. That's the reason for me taking shorts today, and now I've got my stops trailed in a 6 handle drawdown, so we will see the result of this trade. I couldn't care less whether it's a loss or a win. I just take the trades which are valid, and then if we take out this short-term low, which is this one, then I shall be trading my stops to break even. Hopefully you guys have caught this trade as well. I know I didn't give you much notice, but I was just monitoring price closely to see if there was anything worthwhile taking here. And we will go over it after I've obviously been taken out of this trade. We can review it, no problem. But you lot can definitely hear me on the chat, right? Not many people have said anything on the chat whether you lot can hear me or not. Okay, so we just took out that short-term low, guys. That is completely going to be break even. I'm going to protect this account here and actually go full break even, including slippage. So my stops are at 984. Let me just cancel that on the other order. 984 00. All right. Alright, cool. So if this short-term low acts as liquidity for price to come back to my trailing stop, then so be it. It will be a break-even trade for me, and not a problem at all. We should really start to see price accelerate lower here towards London lows in close proximity, and it is the overall draw on majority time frames, 4 hour, etc. And for those of you which are struggling on determining bias, it is very easy. The way that we determine bias is only off imbalances. So we only look at imbalances to determine our overall bias. So you start on the daily time frame, and then you go to the 4 hour, the hourly, the 15 and the 5. You get a separated result for each one. So you have to picture yourself as like a site surveyor. You walk onto a building site and you have a checklist. I know it sounds like a weird abbreviation, but It's exactly the process that you need to go through. Then you're either going to get 5 results as leaning towards bullish, bearish, or neutral. Now, once you have those results, that's going to determine your bias. Then you're probably thinking, what happens to the rest of the PD raise? Sweep of liquidity, order blocks, etc. Right. We get into that after we have a bias. Once we have our bias, we have the levels marked out. And if you have a bullish bias, a sweep of sell side is preferred. A bearish bias, a sweep of buy side, right? Now we mark out London, Asia, data, etc. And then you understand where is price likely to draw to. And today, the draw is London lows with our bearish bias. Whether price wants to reach there or not, or reprice back to break even and fill these imbalances, I couldn't care less. I've taken this trade because this is the trade that I believe is valid, and it's following my bias and the draw towards London lows. It's all about thought process. It's not about result. Daily result. Do you know how many times I've seen daily result? It's all about thought process. That's what turns you profitable over a longer span period of time. Right, so as of now, guys, what does this look like inside of this circle? It's pretty obvious. Someone put it in the chat. What does this look like to you prior to the second day of macro? What does this look like? Phase 1 of what? Exactly. So phase 1 of accumulation, and then I can also see that we have a set, obviously, of London lows, which is going to give us a bullish SMT on ES, because ES is not going to take London and Q will. So with accumulation and then preferably manipulation below London, and then a bullish SMT on ES, because ES won't take it, manipulation distribution for longs inside of the second day macro, only if it follows a bullish bias. So if we determine a bias as of now, so let's delete a few things off the chart here. I'll leave London lows there. So the daily right now is neutral, and if we look on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that that bullish gap has been inversed, therefore the draw is lower towards the next 4-hour low. Price trades up into the 4-hour bearish gap, therefore the draw is lower out of the bearish gap towards the next low. So yeah, the draw is definitely going to be London lows on the 4-hour, so the 4-hour is still bearish. Now on the hourly, we are not in an hourly bullish gap. We are trading out of the bearish gap, so the draw on the hourly is going to be London lows again. This is why, can you guys see this? We're trading out of the bearish gap, the draw is going to be lower towards the next low or bullish imbalance. Now there's no bullish imbalance here, so the draw has to be London lows on the hourly time frame. So right now you can write your results down as daily neutral, 4-hour bearish, hourly bearish. And also guys, when you determine a bias, your bias is bearish to where? Because too many people, they're going to determine a bias to say anywhere. they'd be like, okay, I've got a bearish bias, and price will draw lower and take out certain levels. Your bias gets met at some points. You're not going to be bearish until the Nasdaq hits 15k or 20k, right? You have a bias until a certain point. So once London lows is taken, the hourly is going to go neutral. The 4 hour is going to shift from bearish to neutral, and unless we trade into another bullish imbalance below London lows, then it will shift towards bullish. Now, the 15 minute as of now. So if we have a look to the left, we have a 15 minute bullish gap that has been previously inversed, so we can't take that to be respected. We're currently not inside of any imbalance on the 15 minute. So what bias do we take there? It's going to be neutral, because we don't know where the 15 minute is going to go. We do have an unfilled 15 minute bearish gap resting above. Potentially that's the draw, but I'm not going to base a bias off that. Once we trade into it, then the 15 will be bearish. And then if we look at the 5, so assuming a gap is respected, the 5 minute is bearish. So we assume that 5 minute bearish gap is respected. If it's inversed, along with this one above as well, because we're trading out of this one, so this is the most recent gap that we are trading out of, that upper 5 minute. If that gets inversed, then the draw on the 5 minute is going to be the next imbalance and the next high. So once we trade into that, then it will shift. So the 5 minute right now is bearish. Now, what bias have we determined that? Of course, it is bearish still. And the draw out of these two time frames is London, and the draw out of the 5 minute is going to be the next 5 minute low, which is this area here. So hopefully this makes a lot more sense with determining bias. But going into the AM session of the second day macro, we will see what we get at 10:45. So one break-even trade so far today, and we will wait for the second AM. I'll speak to you guys shortly. Right guys, so looking inside of the lunch macro, I'm going to call it a day, because inside of lunch, Trump is currently speaking, and I was looking for longs, and at this point here, if you guys can see my screen still, I was looking for a long opportunity. As you guys seen, I determined the bias to be bullish after manipulating below London lows, taking out the low which took out London lows. Price moves higher. I was looking for a displacement. Price failed to displace, then drawn lower back into these bullish imbalances and then immediately drawn higher. Because of out the imbalances? No, because Trump's speaking. Now, I don't know if it's true, but Trump might have fired Jerome Powell, potentially. That's what I've heard. I don't know if it's true or not. So that's interesting. He's out. Potentially. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. That's what I heard. Now, I'm not going to be trading the lunch macro if we're getting massive spikes of volatility out of nowhere, which is completely unpredictable to do with Trump speaking. So I'm going to call it a day here, and I'll speak to you guys tomorrow for the AM session. By the time it gets to the 17th, which is tomorrow, I'm going to be going to Houston, Texas. I don't know if any of you guys are in Houston or recommend Houston, but that's where I'm going. So I'll speak to you guys tomorrow anyway for the AM session. Have a great rest of your day.